It looked like there was a ton of energy today with pads. What was your assessment of just how things went today when they got a little juiced up and got to hit each other?
I think the energy was good. I think obviously that's one thing that excites our players, but it's something that we challenge our whole team with is physicality. Something that we're going to be known for forever and ever on both sides of the ball is effort, attitude, and toughness. And I think that was something we challenged them with early, and I thought there was a great deal of it today in the indoor.
Blake, it's been 3 practices now. Your overall thoughts on the defense and the guys that you're working with now?
I think overall, we still have a ways to go. There's a lot of good players that walked out of this door here a couple months ago, and I think we have great leadership on that side of the ball, but we still have to bring some guys up, and we're gonna find 22 guys that can play at our standard, and we're still searching for that. But overall, I'm pleased with where they're at. I like their energy. Like I said, I like their effort, I like their toughness, and we can build off of those things. We gotta continue to get in our playbooks, continue to understand that the install is going to keep coming. We're not going to slow down, and it's their job to keep up. So we're going to challenge them in that regard. But overall, I've been pleased.
We've heard so much about leadership on the offensive side with a guy like KJ Osborne. Who's really maybe taking that by the reins besides Pinckney and Shaq?
Yeah, those two obviously stand out. I think you're seeing some more maybe out of Pat Bethel, a guy that's been around here and played a lot of football. He's kind of standing out from that standpoint. Scott Patchen's doing some good things from a leadership standpoint, and then Trajan Bandy I think's been pretty vocal on the back end so far. So those three have kind of stood out to me individually.
What have you seen from Scott Patchen? He's had a rough road of it, injury-wise in the past.
Well, yeah, and I would have never known that until you told me that. I've been really happy with him. He plays the way the game is meant to be played. He knows his assignments. He's really done a great job. We're 3 days into it, but I've been really pleased with where he's at.
How about Rousseau?
Rousseau's been been really good. He's a guy that I do know about his injury and coming back from that. Same thing though, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell by watching him out here today, but he's a guy that the good Lord blessed him in a lot of ways, and he's got a lot of talent.
What's kind of your philosophy as far as depth chart this early in camp? Should we take much away from who's lining up with the 1s and 2s right now, or how should we look
No,
at it?
I think a lot of it came from Coach Diaz implemented some teams, and basically we have an accountability program. So I think early on, guys that were most accountable off the field and doing things right in the weight room and just in the program overall are going to get the first pop out. We're going to reward hard work before we reward talent. I think that's how you build a program. So early on, that's where it is, and it's their job to lose.
Nestor Silvera is one of those real talented guys everybody looks at and says, okay, maybe he could step into Gerald Willis' shoes. What's your early impressions of him and his development?
He's doing a good job out there. He's a guy that I challenge on a daily basis. We still got to continue to push him, but I think he's responding very well. I've been pleasantly surprised with him the first 3 days really, and then today in pads. But he's a guy that is playing with great effort and doing what we're asking him to do right now.
Who else is stepping forward to tackle?
Like I said, you have Pat Bethel there. But overall, I honestly couldn't tell you. Just today's the first day in pads, so the first 2 days in shorts. Who knows? Especially at that position. So I can't really tell you until I watch the film, but early on, John Ford's a guy. He's a big, massive body that's got great explosion, great length. But we'll see after today's film and kind of see who's taking the reins. But I really like the competition in that room. I think they're going to make each other better.
You obviously got a lot of talent. Trajan Bandy at cornerback, but the other guys haven't played a whole lot besides him. Can you talk about the other guys at cornerback and what your early impressions are for that group?
I think they've all shown flashes. You have Al Blades, you have DJ Ivy, Nigel Belford. We're a little thin. We got a couple more guys obviously coming in the summer that'll help us out. But same thing really as defensive tackle. It's an open competition. It's an open competition across the board. But there's not those two positions. There's not a lot of guys that have played a lot of football. So everyone's kind of staring at it at the face and going to see who's going to take it.
In safety, just Carter and Hall, those two guys obviously have big shoes to fill.
Right.
Just your early impressions of those guys, and I know you've got probably an injury there too, Robert Mills.
Yeah, he's a little banged up. We held him out today from precautionary reasons, but he showed some good things. And that's, those 3 positions on our defense are really questions we have to get answered this spring. But early on, you can really see Amari. He really stands out to me from a he's not a vocal guy by nature, but he's been a lot more vocal on the field. He's kind of a silent assassin from what I've seen early on. Been really impressed with him, and then Derek Smith's a little banged up, Robert Knowles is a little banged up, so we got to get healthy there, which I think next week we should be full go on all those guys. But overall, it's 2 big shoes or 4 big shoes to fill. When you talk about Red and you talk about Jaquan, both those guys on film were really good players and had some time to spend around here. They're around quite a bit, so we're going to miss those 2 from a leadership standpoint, but then also from a playmaker standpoint. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of spring and fall camp.
You mentioned the energy early on in that practice, that big cane drill that we saw. How would you describe that?
It was the first time I guess they'd ever done something like that around here. So we had Coach Diaz had to get them. He just had to get them motivated to get going a little bit. But once they understood the expectation level, it was awesome. It was great energy, great enthusiasm on both sides of the ball. A lot of stalemates, a lot of toughness shown through the guys that were called out there, and it's fun. When he calls out a couple kickers and quarterbacks too. So it was a good time overall.
What are you noticing from the linebacker position outside of Shaq and Mike?
We got a ways to go. I mean, not a lot of experience in there, and I was just talking to BJ and Wayman, and then Darian Stevenson's doing some really good things too. But we got to get those guys up to speed. The expectation level and the standards got to continue to rise for them. But I think they're talented. I think they want to do well. We just need to get them reps and get them in here a little more often and understanding what they have to do.
Great, thank you. Last question for
How important are moments like those and drills like those when you're trying to build the foundation of a team? This early in the process, the chemistry, the camaraderie.
I think they're huge. I think more than anything, there's a lot of guys maybe that football is an interesting sport where sometimes you could go a whole year and maybe someone doesn't get challenged from a physicality standpoint in front of their peers. And I think that's, the number one deal we're getting out of it is you're getting called out there in front of, with another man in front of your peers. So I think from that standpoint it's awesome. But then also, like you just talked about, the energy, the excitement level, and it carried on throughout practice. So I think I think that won't be the last time you see the big cane drill.